least online, a lot of people will ignore the pre-roll ads. Where I work with Leo Laporte, I don't know if anyone knows him, but he has a massive network called twit.tv where he basically is doing online television live all day long, and he just reported that he made $1.5 million last year. And if you look at how, which is pretty good because he has a team of like 3 people who are all uber geeks who adore him and follow him around, and I don't know how much he pays them. But if you look at the type of advertising that he does on his network that really resonates with the audience online, it's all host driven in terms of the type of content. You know, he'll recommend services like Audible, Go to My PC, all of these different advertisers come on board, but Leo is the one who's actually presenting the advertisement in a way, and he's endorsing it, and that resonates a lot better with his audience. And it reminds me a little bit of television in the 1950s when, you know, you'd say this hour of news is brought to you by Kraft, or I don't know who it would be, but
Lucky Strike.
Lucky Strike. And so I think the type of advertising that works is very different, and I think a lot of people aren't really recognizing that as well. And in my own experience too, with just doing video online, I feel as though anything I've done in terms of getting good value for advertisers, it has been all stuff that I've endorsed personally as being on air and saying, okay, this is the deal that we have, you guys should go out and try it. And that's been much more successful for us than any type of B-roll, because they don't, you know, the audience just ignores that online. They're just a lot pickier, right? They're not as passive as a television viewer.
When we're looking at doing that monetization, there's a lot of different models that you can work towards and look at. Obviously, there's still a lot of traditional means being driven around reach and awareness and being able to serve up ad content. The reality is that you can come up with all kinds of really new and innovative models. However, those are going to be vastly difficult for you to sell. And when I say that, it's going to require a massive industry change. You still have media buying agencies who are vastly built around buying in a very specific way. And if you come in and propose all these new things, it's going to take you a much longer time to actually start generating revenue from your program. So when we're looking at building that, it ultimately comes down to how are we going to be able to attribute a revenue source in terms of client success from an industry perspective. From a lot of the advertisers we're seeing and we're working with, we're seeing a mass trend, and the movement is towards more and more direct response-based programs. And we've seen the UK.
So what does that mean, direct response-based programs?
It means advertisers who are willing to pay for results. So the idea of an eyeball, an impression, becomes less and less important. It's really going to be great. You know, we've got X number of people who did this. Tell me what this actually means for my business. How are we actually going to start to? How are we going to sell more beer? How are we going to sell more devices? How are we going to do all of these items that organizations ultimately want to do to drive revenue? To start to monetize it, it really starts with being able to understand what you're producing or what you're creating, what value you're going to be able to offer to start to create that shift in consumers' minds, which is ultimately going to create more revenue.
A lot of the innovation that's going on our platform is actually being started and executed by media companies from around the world. These are media companies, new media platforms like Hulu to traditional media companies like ABC, CNN, NBC, and a whole, as well as more traditional media companies. If you think about TVGuide.com. So you introduce Facebook as a platform, and that's essentially what we are. What we are seeing right now is a lot of media companies using this platform to do a number of things. One, like ABC, is to allow people to watch your content that you're producing, but at the same time, watch it with their friends and family, because now with Facebook, you have the technology, again, to be able to connect specifically with your social graph and not with everyone around the world, specifically people that you want to speak to while you're watching the Michael Jackson Memorial. And the second thing that media companies are using Facebook a lot of is to create the intention, to see the intention, create the awareness, and a lot of teasers about what is about to come. We are all fans of certain content, and these media companies are utilizing Facebook to allow you to stay connected with the shows or the movies that you really do care about, and stay abreast of what's about to happen.